the first day Jeevan met Jason, that was at orientation, she came home, or she called me, and she was talking about Jason, and she's just talking about this random guy, and I was like, Jeevan, I think that's gonna be your husband. And she said, what are you talking about? I'm here to study, I'm not here to get married. But I knew that it was him that first day.
Hi Chicago! Welcome to the first ever virtual bridal expo arranged by DuPage Convention and Visitor Bureau along with DB Bridal Expo and Chicago Style Weddings. I am the CEO and the founder of the DB Bridal Expo and Weddings by Shy. My topic today is weddings and pandemic. As you all know, 2020 was not exactly a 2020 vision for every single bride out there. Weddings and pandemic is one of the most challenging topic. So when I think about it, it's definitely, if it's talking about it is so challenging, I cannot imagine all the brides, the couples, the families that went through it. So the 2020 virtual weddings, that was the biggest thing that we seen. One thing that I did personally, and I thought it was a pretty good idea, that we did small ceremonies just with the families along with like 10 to 15 people, and then we pushed their reception, celebrating with their friends and family for 2021. So I'm taking the virtual wedding as like a future wedding. You can still get a good online, like a Zoom or something, and have everybody attend the wedding. And actually people liked that because it was saving a lot of money. People were not traveling, they were at their own house, we had everybody dressed up. You just have to make sure that, you know, the person who's controlling or managing your online or Zoom call, they don't have to put everybody on mute because except you guys, obviously, the bride and the groom itself or the family wants to speak, because everybody has a tendency to talk, and it's hard when you have like 40 people talking at the same time online. So I'm definitely have become an expert on that, but I personally think virtual wedding is like a next thing. You don't have to sacrifice your guest count, and another advantage with a virtual wedding is that they're not attending your wedding, but they can still send you a gift. Another biggest challenge with COVID was that how do you tell people that they're not invited to your wedding, that you don't want to put your loved ones in danger. So being upfront with them and just tell them everybody's aware of the situation. Everybody's going to be understanding. So I would say that if you're not planning to invite someone because of the health risk or for their safety, you should be open with them and just pick up that phone. And then if it's, for example, if it's your grandma, pick up that phone and tell the grandma that I'm so sorry, but you know what, we'll do it virtually, and definitely we'll celebrate down the road. So the second biggest challenge that we've seen with the pandemic wedding was that people were RSVPing and not coming at the last minute. So more than ever, and especially with South Asian weddings, or you know, the cultural weddings, the RSVPs are very, very important. Communication is everything. You need to just call the guest or have your planner call the guest and have a very accurate count. A lot of people, even though they RSVP'd yes, and then they didn't end up showing up because of they got scared at the last minute, or someone got sick, or something happened, and which was very unfortunate in this pandemic. So you have to remember that you're still paying per person. So if with the venue or the caterer or you know, the centerpieces for the tables and whatnot, if you 30 people RSVP and only 10 people showed up, that's the 20 people that you lost money on. So that's very important, and that goes back to your budget. So RSVPs are the main thing when it comes down to pandemic. It has never happened to us, but we have heard from other people that 30 people RSVP'd, but only 5 or 6 people showed up. So those are the things that you want to avoid by making sure how close the relatives are and everything. Pick up a phone and call them and make sure that they are attending. So the budget is very important. Every wedding, if it's 10 people, 100 people, or 1,500 people, you need to make the budget. That's the biggest mistake most of the brides make. They just think that we will just go along with different vendors and whatnot. So if you have a certain budget, and that could be $2,000, $20,000, or $200,000 or $2 million, whatever your budget is, but you have to have a budget because then you can place different vendors in different categories. Being in the planning business, most of the brides, when we would get a phone call, the first question they would ask is, the guest count has gone down, so are the prices gone down? Just because the count has gone down, that does not mean the prices are slashed. Yes, I understand the hotels, the venues, you pay for per person. Vendor like your photographer, your DJ, your videographer, your makeup artist, your planner, they still have to invest that much time. So, different vendors that we're talking about, the cost of the florist can go down, but like the centerpieces, before you had 200 people, so let's say you had 20 tables, now you only have 20 guests, 4 to 6 tables. So yes, the cost will go down because of the centerpieces, but then again, your backdrop or your sweetheart table or your aisle or your altar, they're all going to be this, you still want them to make it look pretty. The DJ is going to be the same thing. His speakers or his equipment may go down, but he still has to be there to play 4 hours. A planner still has to go through all the contracts, make sure everything is on time. The photographers may just bring 2 photographers instead of 4 photographers, or just 1 photographer, depending on which we do never recommend. We always recommend at least 2 photographers, even though if you only have 10 people to begin with. Different angles, different shots, and all that things do matters. Bride getting ready separate, groom ready getting separate. So you do need 2 photographers at all the time. A lot of people think that just to cut the budget, let's just get 1 photographer, which we do not recommend as a planner at all. So that might vary the price. The hours may go down, but the editing time is still there. They still have to put that much effort and to make sure that all the pictures are edited. So keep that in mind. So one thing that specifically we're going to talk about today is the vendors, since it's a bridal expo. We highly recommend planners for your wedding, no matter where you at or whatever your wedding is, if it's 10 people, 100 people, or 50 people to 500 people, and I have done a 1,500 people wedding. So planners are like a big, I call them, they are a puzzle solver. So like, all of your vendors are like a puzzle, and the planner's job is to make sure, put the puzzle in one big piece and make sure that your wedding is perfect. So finding the right vendor is the main key to have a successful wedding. A lot of people think with different cultural weddings and stuff, there's so much family involved, and they think that, oh, our family can take care of all this. So hiring family members or giving family members the chores or giving family members the responsibility, personally, it's a big no-no, just because everybody is they can be excited, they can get drunk a night before and not deliver the next morning, or have too much fun, or they can get pulled into something else, like whatever that could be. So when you have a professional help or professional people hired there, that is something that you don't want to worry about it, that Uncle Joe is going to show up. Or yes, do divide stuff between family members, but at the same time, hiring professional vendors is something that your wedding can be more memorable and more smooth. So one question was asked that safety of the guest. Most of the weddings that we did in 2020, one of the things we did is we had everybody get tested for COVID. With the South Asian weddings or any wedding, you can actually make a really nice mask. It doesn't have to be like the blue surgical mask. You can actually make the mask more fun now with the bridal parties and stuff. One thing we have also seen is most of the venues are taking extra steps. If it's a buffet, they have the plexiglass and they have people serving, so not everyone is touching the spoon. So those are the safety measurements that the hotel or the venues are taking, which I think personally it's a great step to have everybody under one roof and be safe. Outdoor venues are actually, we live in Arizona, so for us it's very different, but for Chicago, now the weather is, getting better slowly. So I would say outdoor venue is your best bet. Go ahead and book it. And one thing with the outdoor venue is what we have done personally, that because the noise restriction is usually at 10 p.m. So what we usually do, and that is actually my trick, but I'm giving it out now, that I'm sure most of you may be familiar with it, that you can go ahead and book the outdoor venue and then talk to the venue if they can give you a small or a medium size side of a ballroom or a room where you can take after party. What you can do is put a couple of couches and make a lounge seating, have a DJ set up, and then just have a dance floor in there. And then just after 10 p.m. when mostly the elderlies or people who are not into parties, they can go. So your crowd is already gone to maybe 30-40%, unless you have 100% party animals at your party. That's just perfectly fine. Another thing that we need to talk about or get to know about the hotels or the venues that you're getting married in. They all have policies and they have changed a lot of things, and you want to make sure that if you are postponing or delaying your wedding for a different date, what are the policies that you are signing into? So that is very important. So as a bride, keep this in mind that not only the venues or the planners, or we have to keep all the vendors in mind and make sure that it's applied to all the vendors. Like when you change your date, are they booked for that date already, or they have that date available? So that is actually extra work, but that's something that you got to do, or your planner got to do, to make sure that all the vendors are available for your second option that you're planning. Because your makeup artist or your other vendors may have taken the deposit from you, and you tell them the date that the venue is giving you, and that's the only option the venue is giving you. They may not be available that day, or they may have just personal plans for that day. So that is something that you have to kind of go back and then communicate with all the vendors. Having a planner is great, because then the planner can take care of that, instead of you. Not only first you did your part finding all the vendors, but now you're doing another part, rescheduling all these vendors. So that is very important. So don't let the pandemic ruin your wedding, because as they've been saying that, love is not gone, love is still there, it's just been postponed. You can have the best wedding, you just have to follow the protocols, and you know how they say that, just live with the time. So this is the time that we are living in. Things are getting much better with the vaccine being out. You still have to be careful, because we don't know, it's not 100% finished yet. So God knows what's going to happen and how things are going to change. So we still have to apply all the safety measurements and making sure that your guests, your vendors, your attendees, and everybody, or your bridal party, is safe and sound. If you do things right, you can still have fun and still have your dream wedding.